The video was only 60 seconds long, a shaky clip posted to TikTok. A teenager filming a crumbling storage unit, laughing at the dust when the camera caught something else. A box marked with a name no one recognized. Inside, a clue that had been missing for 20 years. Police had looked for decades. Families had begged for answers. And then, with one viral video, the truth came spilling out. This is the story of a cold case cracked by TikTok. A case that haunted a town, a mystery left to rot in evidence rooms. Until social media mocked, trivialized, underestimated, brought it all back to life. Our story begins in Maple Falls, Indiana. A small town of 25,000 people. A place where everyone knew each other's business, where high school football was the highlight of Friday nights, and where tragedy traveled fast. In the summer of 2001, the town lost one of its brightest lights. Her name was Jessica Harper. She was 19 years old. A sophomore at Indiana State University. She loved theater, poetry, and the color yellow. Her friends remembered her as quirky, stubborn, and fiercely protective of her younger brother. Jessica had dreams bigger than Maple Falls. She wanted to move to Chicago, write plays, and see her name in lights. But on August 18, 2001, Jessica left her part-time job at a diner and never came home. Jessica was more than a headline. She was someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's best friend. On the night she disappeared, she told her co-workers she was stopping by her apartment to change before meeting a friend at a coffee shop. She never arrived. At first, police thought she had run away. College stress, maybe a boyfriend. Maybe she just needed a break, but Jessica's family knew better. She would never just leave, her mother said. Not without telling us, not without her journal. Her journal was her constant companion, and when police searched her room, it was gone. To understand the weight of what happened to Jessica Harper, you first need to step back into Maple Falls in the summer of 2001. It was a time before smartphones, before TikTok, before every corner of life lived online. A time when missing persons posters weren't hashtags, but pieces of paper stapled to telephone poles. Maple Falls was the kind of place where routine shaped lives. The town clock still chimed every hour. Neighbors knew each other's kids by name. And at the local diner, where Jessica worked part-time, regulars ordered the same pie every Thursday. Jessica was a part of that rhythm. She had grown up on the edge of town in a 2-story house with peeling blue paint and a tire swing in the yard. Her father worked long shifts at the auto plant. Her mother volunteered at church. And Jessica, she was the dreamer of the family. Her friends said she laughed aloud, cried too easily, and always carried her notebook, scribbling down bits of poetry and half-finished plays on napkins and receipts. At school, she wasn't the most popular girl, but she was magnetic. People remembered her yellow sweaters and her refusal to blend in. She sang at talent shows, directed skits for the school festival. And when she left for Indiana State University, she promised her best friend, "One day, I'll write a play that gets performed in New York." That was Jessica, hopeful, stubborn, alive. For Maple Falls, Jessica was more than another face in the crowd. She had babysat neighbors' kids, volunteered at the summer fair, walked dogs for extra cash. People remembered her at the corner store, buying a pack of gum and chatting along with the cashier. She was woven into the fabric of the community. And when she disappeared, that fabric began to unravel. That summer was hot. The kind of heavy heat that made tempers flare and nights restless. College kids home for break roamed the streets. Parents worked late hours. The world was shifting, technology creeping in, small towns feeling less small. But beneath the ordinary, there were whispers. Strange cars seen circling the diner late at night, men who lingered too long in parking lots. Jessica mentioned once to her roommate that she felt watched walking home, but she brushed it off, laughing nervously. Her journal, the one she never let out of sight, held scribbled notes that no one would see until decades later. Lines that read like warnings. I think someone followed me again. Why does he keep showing up at the diner? At the time, no one knew who she meant. Jessica didn't know her summer would be her last. Her plans were simple. Finish her shift at the diner, change clothes at her apartment, then meet her friend at the coffee shop. She told her co-worker, "I'll be home soon." Those would be her last words heard by anyone in Maple Falls. Jessica's disappearance shook Maple Falls. For weeks, volunteers combed cornfields, riverbanks, and wooded trails. Flyers plastered every lamppost. Local news anchors repeated her name night after night, but there were no leads. No witnesses, no car, no body. The trail went cold. As the years passed, rumors grew. Some said Jessica had been taken by someone she knew. Others whispered she had been lured online. This was the early age of internet chat rooms. Police followed every lead, but evidence was thin. The case became a file in a cabinet, a photograph on a wall in the station, a face fading from memory. For Jessica's family, every day was a wound that never healed. By 2011, the case was nearly forgotten outside Jessica's family. The annual vigils grew smaller. News coverage dwindled. Detectives retired. But in 2019, a new detective, Erin Collins, took over Maple Falls cold cases. She reopened the Harper file, re-examined the evidence. Still, nothing broke loose, and then came 2021. On February 3rd, 2021, a user named @LaceyMay posted a video. She and her friends had rented an old storage unit in Maple Falls, hoping to turn it into a rehearsal space. The video showed peeling paint, cobwebs, junk piled in corners. But one detail, almost invisible, caught people's attention. A cardboard box, old, labeled Jessica H. Inside were notebooks, a yellow sweater, a wallet with expired student ID cards, and at the bottom, a small cassette tape. The caption read, "This is creepy." Who is Jessica H? The video blew up overnight. By morning, the clip had 500,000 views. Locals flooded the comments. "That's Jessica Harper," one wrote. "She went missing years ago," another said. The Maple Falls Police Department was tagged hundreds of times, and for the Harper family, it was like reopening a coffin. Jessica's mother cried when she saw the video. "That's her sweater." "That's my baby's sweater." Police had ignored the unit for 20 years. Now, thanks to TikTok, the case was alive again. The cassette tape found in the box became the center of the investigation. It contained audio, a male voice, low, distorted, but chillingly calm. "Jessica, you don't listen. You never listen. Now you're going to stay quiet." Investigators froze. The tape sounded like a confession. Forensic experts enhanced the audio. They compared it to interviews, and slowly a name emerged. Mark Ellis was a former Maple Falls police officer. He had resigned in 2002 after misconduct allegations. At the time of Jessica's disappearance, he lived near her apartment. He was known to frequent the diner where she worked. And most chilling of all, he had rented the storage unit in his own name. For years, it sat untouched until a group of TikTok teenagers walked in. On March 15, 2021, Ellis was arrested at his home. Inside, detectives found more of Jessica's belongings, her journal, jewelry, and photographs hidden in a locked drawer. DNA on her sweater linked directly to Ellis. After 20 years, the cold case was solved. Ellis confessed in interrogation. He said he had become obsessed with Jessica, that she reminded him of someone from his past. On the night of August 18, 2001, he followed her home, confronted her, forced her into his car. He kept her hidden for days before killing her and disposing of her body in a wooded area outside town. Her remains were finally recovered in 2021 after Ellis led investigators to the site. Jessica's parents stood at the edge of the woods, holding each other as the search team brought her home. The trial of Mark Ellis gripped Maple Falls. Family members testified about 2 decades of grief. Jessica's brother described living in the shadow of her absence. Prosecutors showed the TikTok video in court, calling it the spark that reignited justice. Ellis sat stone-faced as jurors heard the tape. The verdict: guilty of kidnapping and murder. He was sentenced to life without parole. Jessica Harper was 19 years old. She loved theater, yellow sweaters, and writing stories in her journal. For 20 years, her family lived with silence. And then, in a twist no one could have imagined, a social media app brought her case back to light. A cold case cracked by TikTok, proof that sometimes justice comes from the unlikeliest of places. The clock struck midnight, but Jessica never walked through that door. And yet, 2 decades later, her voice was heard again through the glow of a phone screen. This is Crime Scene Chronicles. We tell these stories to remember the victims, to uncover the truth, and to remind you that even in silence, justice can find a way back. If Jessica's story moved you, help us continue. Like this video, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Crime Scene Chronicles for more true crime stories that must be told.